Welcome back to the ECS Season 7 Finals. Well, before the break, we wrapped up Group A Best of Ones, but now we're going to be jumping straight into Group B action. And I am very excited to get into this first game because it is compLexity versus Vitality. And we've got two interesting players, I think, to pick up on these both respective teams.
Yeah, interesting for a couple of reasons.
Two very different ones.
Yeah.
ZywOo being I would definitely have to say he's proven now. You know, when you're one of the highest rated players in back-to-back tournaments, there's a lot to be said in that one right there. And also when you have veterans on your team like Apex and MBK and you're getting so much done in that regard, look, props to ZywOo. And then the other sort of things with compLexity, we have the youngster, the new kid, the 15.
Yeah.
What were you guys doing at 15?
Not on a stage in Wembley. It's
Yeah.
madness. His first LAN.
Yeah, my first LAN was a BYOC.
Yeah,
outside of Oslo.
Casual
It's not,
environment.
quite the
Insane.
same price pool of $2,500. You know, it was pretty big at the time.
Are we positive it's pronounced oboe?
Oboe. Okay.
Like
are we positive?
like the
We
instrument.
might have to check.
Yeah.
Is
It
it
has
like
to
the
be oboe.
instrument? I guess.
Yeah.
Or it could be like bow.
Bow.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
They've
know.
all got weird pronunciations.
I guess
don't
like
know.
we get to decide that.
No.
It's his first LAN. Like
We get to pretend
we've
we
done
know
that.
what
We've
we're
done
talking
that
about.
with everyone else. Like Sipnix is Sipnix.
Okay, well, he's oboe then.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, Oboe. Yeah, there we go.
We're going to be going with that. Well, I mean, what are you guys kind of making of this matchup coming into this first matchup of Group B? Again, another best of one. What are you thinking with these two sides going head-to-head?
It's such a different story, right? Like Vitality are on a rise where they want to solidify their spot as obviously right now they're ranked 4th in the world, which I think everyone on Vitality said like that's not completely correct, but they'll take it. But again, like they're in the stage where they need to prove themselves as one of the better teams in the world. compLexity, they just want to prove themselves that they're a team to be remembered at all.
Yeah, how much practice could they have possibly had, right? That's the big thing. There's a massive disparity here. You have one team which is just a question mark, a complete anomaly. We have no idea what to expect. You've got Def taking over the in-game leadership, and you have this kid being added into the team, right? Now, when you look at these two players toe-to-toe here, the statistics for Oboe, it's like he hasn't even played that many, high-level Counter-Strike matches at all, let alone, playing against a team like Vitality. So this is going to be baptism by fire.
Yeah.
And the comparison here is to just show you that the two youngsters, or at least the two newcomers, at least into the scene of this level of CS, we've got one who's proven to be an absolute prodigy, and the other who maybe could be the second coming of North American CS. Not that they need it at the moment. They have Liquid, but hey.
I mean, yeah, and also they have some pretty, good young talent and energy as well in Breezy and Ethan and so on. But yeah, it's two very different stories. I guess I like, at least in my eyes, the one who will be vying for, potentially best player in the world. If not this year, then next year. That kind of a thing. And Oboe is more, as you said, kind of trying to make his mark as one of the, I guess, new guard in NA. But we'll see. It's going to be an interesting take on it. I personally have not seen Oboe play too many matches.
Yeah.
No.
So, again, what he's going to be able to show it. I'm keeping my expectations low in that sense. Again, especially with it being his first LAN event. Coming into this kind of a stage, just stepping on a stage at any sort of like format, even if it is your local BYOC kind of thing, it is a bit of a daunting challenge.
Well, totally. I mean, you guys will both know, having been to LANs for the first time, what is that feeling like coming out to a stage? I know we haven't got a crowd here per se, but like it's a big stage, right? It's a lot of pressure.
Lots of people at home are watching as well, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors that come into this here. But I think one of the bigger tasks is just being able to get the team to work at all, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not like he's working into an established team.
No.
He's walking into a team whose Ricky has had issues getting his visa secured, so he's only recently come back into the fold. You've now changed of in-game leadership. You have Def coming into this team now as the in-game leader, but we've got the in-game leader of Vitality on the screen right here, and that's Alex, who showed some really good signs in close matchups that the Frenchman needed to win over there in Dallas and Summit as well. And the problem for these guys can be similar to what you heard in the Furia post-game interview. They haven't had a lot of time to readdress them because they've been on the road. Well, the mid-rounds right now, at least in my mind, the problem-solving when the game plan doesn't work for Vitality seems to be one of their bigger flaws in what could be a very exciting French team.
Cross fingers and hope for ZywOo.
Yeah, well, he can get you out of any problem, apparently, so that might be all that matters.
Well, last time he was on the stage here, it was for the show match at the major.
That's right, yeah.
Obviously, the iconic interview that happened there.
It's one for the
He
ages.
was on the winning team, right? So
He was on the losing team.
was he on the losing team?
Because I was on the winning team.
And you didn't play with ZywOo.
Was I on my team?
Yes, I was on your team. He was right at the
Was
end.
he?
So you're asking
I don't
pretty
even remember
sure.
him. That's
Yeah,
how
yeah,
important
'cause
he
you
was
were-
to
were
our
you on Team
victory.
Rain?
Yeah.
Yeah, Team Rain won. He was on.
Oh, well,
Sarah's
he
on
wasn't
there.
that much of a memorable teammate, so he's gone for knives the whole time. That's why.
Yeah.
Bloody ZywOo. Yeah, no, well, hopefully not so many knives this time. Hopefully he keeps it, all above board.
Well, yeah, I mean, I spoke to MBK before they came here in a little interview, and he was saying that they want to solidify the team not just in ZywOo. They need everybody else to be playing their part and not just relying on him, right? And I think what's so interesting is he was talking about ZywOo as a player that he just wants to play. He doesn't want any social media clout. He doesn't want any of that stuff. He just wants to play the game.
Damn, you just used clout on a desk.
Yeah, I know, sorry.
You can see the disparity of age here, really.
It's like a pretty significant age gap all of a sudden showing.
Jeez, that threw me off a little bit. I thought we were on Twitter. No, but look, I think that for the star players, Forrest, the guy who we had on the stage before, is a perfect example of somebody who never really worried about that stuff, just wanted to be the best. And if you can have that laser focus, especially in this time when things are so much more amplified and intensified, and it's so much more stat heavy with everybody looking at rankings and ratings and all this kind of stuff, if you can just stay focused on playing your game and being the best you can possibly can be, and you're a talent like ZywOo, there's no reason that he can't be one of the world's best players.
Well, exactly. So what are you kind of expecting for them coming into this, obviously coming off of Dallas and being at lots of events, right? Very different to complexity.
Yeah, no, very different story. Well, yeah, I'm kind of expecting destruction, sadly, for complexity, but that's kind of what you have to look at. I'm expecting more of a, I guess, Vitality-esque from what we saw at Summit compared to what we saw at Dallas. Dallas was a bit of a, I guess, shorter run in that sense, but throughout what I got to see from them at Summit was very, very impressive. And again, they want to, make this team to kind of shift away from ZywOo doing it all, and that's kind of what they do, or that's the hill they die on, to everyone being able to contribute. And I think they've actually been able to showcase signs of that. I think Alex has been playing pretty damn well, actually, for being an in-game leader, especially so fresh as he is into the role as well, on a lot of these T sides, which I think is something that we're going to see more of as the team keeps growing.
For complexity here, the thing for them is this is going to be, with the whole romance theme, if we stick with that for a second, like arguing in public with a new girlfriend, for example, right? Because they're going to be vetting all of their issues live, right? This is them coming together and now having to fix and change things on the fly and keep things as calm as possible. Now, that's not going to be an easy task by any means, considering all the moving parts and all the changes that we have seen for this roster. So if they can do anything, if they can even look remotely threatening here, that's a win in my books. I'm not expecting them to get the W by any means.
No. Well, I was also spoke to Shazam yesterday, and he was. I asked him about Vertigo because obviously want to get the feeling for the new map, and he was incredibly confident about it.
Wow.
He was saying, the map itself. He was just like the way that we're going to play it. And he was saying it's not necessarily going to be a ban for them, which I'm wondering whether that's just to throw people off. I'm wondering whether he's saying that.
Games.
Mind games, right?
Vitality might not be the opponent you want to do that against, though, because they showcase that they want to play Vertigo as well.
That's in their one of their smokes as well. I put it up on the interwebs the other day. So they're just smoking off that wall, that hole in the wall. So they've already solved the problem.
Well, hopefully we'll get to see what is happening in our map veto and see. This could be the first time we see Vertigo. Maybe.
Can I just say, RPK does not look as tan on camera here as he did in his picture.
Well, he still looks more tan than me. So
we're not setting the bar big high here. Come on.
What are we gonna? Maybe a Mirage. Yeah.
Mirage would be. Disney. I hope Dust 2 seems like
Vertigo's still in there.
Yeah, Dust 2 seems like the way that Complexity would want it to go, because again, they've had some pretty big scalps on it. Well, I say pretty big scalps. They've won maps off of MIBR and Renegades as well on the map, even though they lost the eventual series on it. And Vitality, they've been supremely confident on it. I think they boast like an 88% win rate. It's by far their most played map as of late. And it's kind of been, it's very French of them, but it's their go-to pick. And it's actually one of the very few teams that I feel somewhat comfortable on picking as a bit of a favorite going into the map.
Yeah.
This is just safe, just for people playing at home. The reason that you wouldn't go into a Vertigo in this situation is because it's the unknown, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to go into the unknown in a best-of-1 in an opening game if you're Vitality. If you have the choice, at least go with something that you feel comfortable on. Everybody understands the way the map's played. It's not like they can't break the meta on Dust 2, whereas maybe they have something that nobody had seen before on Vertigo, and that's why you'd shy away from that.
Yeah.
Normally, if you're the favored team, you want to go to the more comfortable ground because you should have the bigger advantage, right? And now ZywOo is going to have an AWPing task on his hands, taking on Shazam, and then we'll see how it unfolds.
Yeah, I'm very excited to get into it. It's going to be a good matchup.
It definitely is. I think if you're Complexity, you can't ask for a better map, honestly. Coming into this,
scrimmy,
snowbally. Things get out. Obo, who's pretty much made his way through, FPL. What better map to do it on, right? Again, new team, it's got to be puggy. You're playing a map that allows for it to be successful. So, yeah, Complexity probably couldn't have done better, but even still.
We've spoken about the map veto, and now it's time to get into our predictions. Myself and Chad have a 0% success rate.
We haven't started yet.
Little 50%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can go
50%
first then.
better than you
Yeah,
guys.
you can go first. There you go. That's the pressure. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So winner goes first. That's fair enough. This is not too much of a contest for me. I'm going to have to side with Vitality, even if it's Dust2. And Dust2 is always a bit of a funky matchup to watch, but I feel confident in the French.
I wonder if the production can work out who I'm going for in this based off my analysis. Let's see. Let's actually test production right now. Here we go. Drum roll, please.
They got it right.
I didn't even have to say anything.
Nice one. Well, I think I'm going to go exactly the same. I'm going to go Vitality as well, just because, yeah, I think it is going to go in their favor.
What about Sliggy? Is
Yeah,
he going to throw a wrench in there?
Nah.
I mean, he's got his boy Def there.
Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sliggy. He'll
Connor?
stick, of course.
Yeah, he's
Still sticking with Vitality. I'm interested to see the user predictions for this, because this could
I'm
be
not.
where you're not.
Nah, most of the people in Twitch chat are pretty deluded.
What are you saying,
Well.
Chad? What are you trying to say?
Well, we've got a big swing for what you went with. So apparently you're deluded too, according to that analogy. Yeah, 16% going with complexity there, and then, I mean, I imagine the odds will be still in.
I'd imagine they would reflect the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would actually expect, honestly.
Probably more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would expect this to be like one of those, 1 to 8 kind of a thing.
Maybe because it's a best of one, they're seeing, there's always, like, I guess in my mind at least, the disparity has dropped off a bit because pistol rounds aren't as important anymore.
Yeah.
Every round seems like it's very valuable and easy to fight over. But regardless, that makes sense.
Yeah, well, for sure. I'm incredibly excited to get into this, seeing as it is, well, their first games up on the grand stage for us here. And we don't have the audience in today, but we do have the lovely audience at home as well, rooting for our boys. I'm hoping Vitality take this. Hoping I'm going to get one right.
Get on the board.
The whole day.
Yeah, no, I mean,
really
it's a good start. I think this is a good one to go with Vitality. And I mean, you can only imagine. I mean, we talked about Astralis having a bit of a scare and a bit of a wake-up call versus Furia. This would be an absolute disaster for Vitality to lose.
Yeah, they would actually probably be on par in terms of results, right? I would say, because I know we were thinking Furia, they had all this potential, but complexity as well, being an unknown factor, I'll give them a little bit of a step in that direction. They could catch this roster off guard, because we already spoke about Vitality struggling to adjust in the mid-round. So if they're able to stifle the starting of rounds, then there could be an opportunity for complexity to do the same as what we saw Furia do to Vitality in Dallas. That was a lot. There's a lot of links between teams there.
Yeah,
I felt like I lost
it all together.
and then I got there, and then it all came together.
Put a bow on it.
Yeah.
Well, for some two other people, they're going to put it all together for us, going into this best of ones. Of course, it is James and Dan up on the casting desk for us. Guys, take it away.
Thank you very much, Freya. This is an interesting one. I think I think Dust2 is a good start to see Obo and learn about him. I vaguely remember when he ended up on in FPL. I think I remember him qualifying, but I haven't seen any of his plays, so this will be very interesting. I think that Vertigo would have been an interesting map in terms of variance. I think that would be a great map for complexity, but Dust2, not the worst map they could play. So, I don't know, man. Again, we've got those juicy odds coming out. I don't know if you're crazy. Obviously, if you went for Furia, then you might come up good. I think this is a higher risk.
I think
they're both risky, but...
Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say that 1v4, that, like, how desperate this game will probably be, James.
We shall see. The problem is we're just in the dark as far as complexity are concerned. Vitality are a stronger team, of course. They have lost their in-game, or they've removed their in-game leader. So that makes things harder. But it's not impossible. But it might be with only 4 players on the server.
They are the fourth best ranked team in the world according to HLTV, and complexity are not in the top 30. So if you go off of the rankings alone, it's definitely quite the disparity.
I'm really happy that we see such young lads joining a team. Again, I remember before we had all the contract races in North America and all these orgs were snapping up all the players, you had a constant recycling of name value players in North America, which I think in some ways stifled progress. But once the floodgates opened and everybody got snapped up in contracts, it allowed the new blood to come in and allow them to prove themselves. And of course, vehicles like FPL, I think that's one thing, players, you don't really want to give people you don't know the time, but when they're just wrecking you on servers in things like FPL, then that will certainly help you pay attention. So I think it's There's never been a better time to play Counter-Strike, and it's great that we have all these youngsters coming through. So, I mean, being 15, flying across the world to play Counter-Strike in one of the biggest cities in the world, is pretty crazy, man. It's pretty crazy. Like, I can't imagine this experience. It's funny when those guys are saying, "What were you doing when you were 15?" Dan, what were you doing when you were 15?
Just play video games, James.
Is that it?
Yeah, pretty much.
No more detail, just for general video games.
Playing video games. I mean, back then, I was sad because I couldn't go to tournaments when I was 15. I was one of the best players in the UK, but I couldn't go to tournaments because I was too young. I was, some of those tournaments. I mean, there weren't many tournaments to begin with. It wasn't so saturated like it is now as well. So
I was playing a few games, but I was also in the streets, Dan. Running from the police. Wasn't breaking any serious laws, though.
Serious laws. Just regular laws.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you say you were on the streets, that means like something different to... never mind. Never mind. There's no time to explain this because compLexity are making their way towards the long position. It's Dust 2. There are very long ranges. It's a pistol round. They've got no P250s. They are content with 2 men on utility and 3 with Kevlar, the Glocks, and so on. So they have long. But Vitality have USPs, and that may be the deciding factor here. But then again, maybe it won't be.
Shazam's on a pretty passive lurk there towards Upper Dark, because he's going to have no action this round at all. Alex is doing some good damage with the help of RPK, and this is being slowed down pretty effectively. And again, Shazam's in the B-bomb site, but that's not really going to help anyone. So effectively, they're down a man in compLexity. But it looks like it's still going to work out. Obo will be able to take down one on the side. Sick doing some work as well. And, finally getting into the mix. There's Shazam. I need to get taken down by Apex. But now down to the Star. ZywOo. What's going to get done? Nothing. Obo gets it done with a 4K. So not a bad debut. First round on the stage. And he's got himself a quad kill. Not bad.
It's not too shabby. I wonder if he's so young that he... I mean, I guess it varies from person to person. But right now, I wonder if he's so young that nerves are just like not really a thing. But, of course, we're playing... It's on LAN, but the crowd aren't here until later in the week. So if they manage to make it towards the stage and you have the entire audience ahead of you and you can see them from your booth, then that might be a different story altogether. But we'll just focus on what we have in front of us, which is Dust 2. So far, so good. Man like Def leading the charge now. Has some confidence in doing it. I can hear people shouting downstairs as well, so I think they've got good support. I know Jason Lake will be making his way over here from Dallas. Always good to see him.
Absolutely.
A keen scuba diver as well.
It's always interesting. Some people, and everybody handles pressure and nerves differently. Obviously, it is effectively just something that's in your head. It's not something that, it's just, the stakes, you think about your career, you're thinking about, there's so many different elements that can apply pressure to people, and a lot of them can be pretty individual. And so it is interesting to see how people handle it. Sometimes you get these phenomenal players that their first event, they'll just be stone cold. And those are the kinds of people that are just made to compete. But that's very rare. That's pretty rare. Most people take, at least a few events to kind of warm up to the idea that everything's always different. And you got to find comfort within that. But can add to those points later on as we are into the round here. And it's a full buy for both teams. Well, I say full buy. Vitality don't really have nades. They've opted to get all the orgs. They've got an AWP with no Kevlar or nades. There's no kit. This is, it looks good until you start to look at the finer details, and it doesn't look
so it really isn't a full buy at all, basically.
No, it's
You've defrauded the audience again. Shazam's got the scout, worth noting. RPK has crept up towards top mid. He spots somebody. He swats one. He's got help as well. Def, I don't know if he wants to go for the repick. There are grenades flying in, and the CTs will be forced away, but they'll be forced away with man advantage. That won't last very long, though, because Shazam is making use of this scout. But now he's got an AWP to contend with, and that won't go so well for him. 2 remaining players for compLexity. What do they choose to do? Rikke and Sick. Rikke low health with UMP. Sick high health with an AK-47. He may want to lead the charge. These movements can be heard by Alex, by the double doors. And it seems Sick will go for the long rotation. They've got a time to do this. However, RPK has made his way through long doors, and he may just get some sound cues. He'll have a complete off angle if he does. Sick is going by. He's hugging the wall, basically, so he is as far away as possible as far as sound cues are concerned, so that's pretty cool. But now here they are. He's ready for it, though. Instant headshot from him. The bomb's been spotted, and now it's a race down long.
And Ricky gets the info as well that one's going CT. The backstab, and that's beautiful. That will allow a free cross. Down to Zaiwu, he's only got an AWP and just nothing else. Just no Kevlar, nothing. It's going to be very awkward. He's going to be approaching from CT as well. And so Ricky is going to be out of the picture completely. Zaiwu's going to effectively just have a 1 versus 1, but he's got no kit. So that will give ample time for the rotation, even if he gets a quick kill and sticks the bomb, but doesn't even guess correctly to 6 positions, and he will go down and the AWP will be collected. So a clean 3-0 start for compLexity.
Can I just note that Zaiwu was almost perfectly on the head in that 180. That was pretty close, but the bomb was planted for short. But it is great play from compLexity. Again, there's lots of screaming downstairs. So definitely that NA hype, keeping the players focused. Really good start for them. The tougher tests are yet to come, of course. We've got an eco situation for Vitality, NBK with a scout. We see him do some nasty things. He's an under-the-radar scout player. Pretty dangerous he can be with this, but this is a tall order. There's plenty of Kevlar as well. So again, I think considering where compLexity are, I think this is one of the best maps they could start on, because it's one of the simplest, one of the most familiar. So it won't be the kind of headache that, let's say, like an Overpass might have been. But Vitality, they don't mind a Dust 2 pick. Some might say they're fond of one. And we've got people like Zaiwu on the team, of course. Plenty of danger to be had.
They're playing for aggressive opportunities there towards Catwalk, but there doesn't really seem to be anything for them to do there. And that's just kind of how it is on Dust 2. You just don't get too many options when you're on that CT side with a buy like this. And you can hold on to Catwalk, which they've done, and so they have at least a position to work from in the defense here of this A bomb site. However, compLexity are not committed, but it looks like they may be going for the committed play regardless. And this is difficult, especially with those close smokes on crossover. Oh, there's the pop flash. I was just about to say, that's the danger. When you throw the close smokes and big damage done by Vitality. Oh, it's getting really, really bad now. Just Sick left coming in from Catwalk. Doesn't expect there to be one so close. And he gets tagged by the scout as well. The MBK's done severe damage.
Yeah, this is disastrous, all things considered. And I was going to say before I threw to you, I wonder if the timing on anti-ecos is going to be an issue when you've lost your in-game leader. I think I hear some Vitality whoops now. This is good. Man, there are some really fun videos, especially in the Brazilian scene. Not that it's so relevant to this particular matchup, but from the 1.6 days, people going crazy, shouting at each other on LAN. But here we go. Always fun to have. 3-1 in favor of compLexity. That is not a good sign, though, to lose a round in such a fashion so early. Losing by timeout against an eco on Dust 2 of all maps is a pretty bad sign.
Yeah, it's definitely not ideal by any means. And it is, again, it can be quite awkward when you're trying to bully your way onto the A bomb side. It's harder than it seems, especially when those pop flashes come flying in. But another long take, a delayed long take coming in from compLexity. And doing this makes a lot of sense because if you're running a lot of defaults, CTs will often have 3 at the beginning of the round towards the long position to get that position, to trade it out and to stop you. But if you come back there later, there's often just one guy. So if you have correct utility placement, it's pretty easy to get this position if you want it. On the T side, for very limited utility, there's just one flash. Pretty much enough to deal with this. But RPK's going to be sticking out there. He's going to go for the re-peek. Zaiwu in a committed position. He can't really fall back in time, and they will take him down. And this is problematic for Vitality now.
He legged one, and he'll be followed up upon. Perhaps not. We've got a bunch of players who are low. There are no dangerous grenades, though, in the hands of Vitality. Just a smoke grenade to create some space. We've seen this before, but it's not quite done the job as we've seen in the past. It was a gimmick smoke at the major for G2, I think it was, but and that's actually allowed him to pull one frag back. If NBK could find the right place, he might find something nice, but no, he will be denied. Again, 2 players in the red. The trades, though, will go in favor of compLexity. and they're back to their winning ways.
And that seemed like a missed timing between RPK and ZywOo there on the long defense. RPK swung into all the players on long. He didn't have a flash to assist him, and ZywOo wasn't really in position to fight with him. We see that ZywOo comes in at a timing where he can't actually correctly trade for RPK. So that was a bit disjointed there. And hopefully that's something that they can sort of fix. But that looked like a communication thing, potentially, Vitality. However, again, they've been playing better and better and better recently. And so I'm curious to see what bouncing back will look like if that is to happen. But I'm also pleased to see that compLexity get a good start, something to work with.
Smoke on the Xbox. Deny information through mid. No one spotting though. Vitality with a 3-man focus towards A. Apex will spot with the MP9 in case somebody pushes through middle doors. Not looking to get picked off in that position. Low on utility, high on sniper rifles, Vitality. Snipers and scopes, and ZywOo doesn't miss on this occasion. RPK with the P250. Oh, the bait is unbelievable. And that bait has crushed around for Vitality. That's an awesome 3-man setup, and that has to be something they've made on the fly, but that has worked to a T. No answer to any of these frags. Shazam left alone 1 versus 5 with 40 seconds to presumably try and save this, but Alex is flanking. Insta headshot, follow-up bullet, and that is a pretty solid round from Vitality.
Yeah, I was going to say that, because I just made the point before about how teams will, if they, they'll go for long takes at a delayed timing so that you're only fighting against one player, and perhaps Vitality just wanted to just guess and sort of have that gamble set up towards the long position, kind of counting on that, and that's exactly what happens. compLexity went for another delayed long take, and they got absolutely blown up because you don't expect there to be more than one player in those deep positions. So, indeed, a good response from Vitality, sort of adapting to their opponents. Ooh, how did that... Did that do... That is 0 damage?
No, it did damage.
Did that second one do any damage? Either way, just pistol to worry about. The Org only good for 1, though.
But can it be retrieved? The juicy prize, which will not be denied. Oh, Obo! This dude is putting in some nice frags. He's giving his team an opportunity in a very unlikely situation. They're in a winnable spot now. That box is wallbangable, but Vitality are backing away. Oh, have they gone for a save? Man like Obo.
That Deagle frag came out of absolutely nowhere. I wasn't
15-year-old roadman.
It was impressive. That one frag just changed everything. It just forced a save immediately for Vitality. That's also does to there's this element of timing on in Counter-Strike. If you're able to just eliminate the defense as quickly as that, it can just be the round over sometimes because there's so much time for positioning to be favorable for the T side. I think one good example we see that really often, sometimes like at least once or twice a match, is Inferno. Like when you have when you rush a banana, you kill 2 CTs immediately, the round's over at that point.
All right, here we go. Not bad. See how he repositions. It's pretty calm, pretty standard stuff. A very level head for such a young player. But that's why he got here in the first place. 5-2 in favor of compLexity. Vitality haven't chained any rounds together just yet, so again, it's still looking good for compLexity. You take one, we'll take one back. It favors us. Now, the Orgs, I think one of the best examples of the power of the Org is the defense of the B bomb site on Dust 2. Maybe we'll see it again here from NBK. So far, so good. Who gets sprayed through the smoke, though? Do they gamble and push through it?
Looks like that is the case. Obo lurking towards level doors. Won't be able to find his kill onto RPK. And however, compLexity are in a position where they can make something work here. They have to get the bomb down pretty much now because the CTs will likely wait until everybody's in position to attack. So you kind of have that grace period where you can get a bomb plant without worrying that the CTs will push on top of you whilst you're doing it. But even still, you can see Rick plants in the safest spot, making sure that no one can dart through the smoke through the doors to take him out as he's planting. Shazam playing the big box. It's going to be very difficult here to hold on. You've got to have some correct guesses. You're not going to expect there to be so many players from the tunnels. Apex in with the trade very quickly. Down to Ricky with the AK. Flash up high. Where's the follow-up, though? Won't be coming out in time. Zai darts around the corner with the CZ. And another important round for Vitality. But these rounds that they are winning, James, they're always kind of like this, a bit messy.
Yeah. Maybe hard to counter a team with a new in-game leader. Can't really prepare too much in this situation. I think especially on a map like Dust 2 where Def might call based on feel. If it was a more complicated map structurally, then they may have to rely on old tactics and the counters will be more relevant. So that may have a part to play. Shazam going for a peek. The timing, I'm surprised he didn't get a frag there, maybe slightly too early. And he'll be forced away. A deep Molotov and Vitality have control of long. That's little expense. Hasn't cost them any personnel for sure. So they've got a 2-1-2 set up on this occasion, Vitality. Alex with an off angle, presumably looking for players coming out of the lower tunnel. There is the lurk smoke. So it could be, well, it's gone pretty deep, so NBK's got a pretty good position. He's pretty confident no one's behind it. With a good lurk smoke, you can have 1 to 5 people behind it. You could jump onto the double stack in that position or creep out the other side, just burst. There's a lot of different things that you could potentially do. But they're not terribly concerned right now, Vitality.
So tower control has been achieved. And the A bomb site is pretty weak at this point in time. You can see Alex is out of position. Playing from CT is never ideal. If you have Alex in a spot like he is in at the moment in CT, this setup is more suited to deal with B splits than A attacks. Because as you can see, like, Zyro is pretty much isolated towards the car position if they were to go towards the A bomb site. So just a couple flashbangs timed correctly blows up Zyro's position, and there's position on the site with the bomb down for very limited cost. But Alex has somehow found a perfect timing for the flank here. So I don't know how he's done this, but this could be massive. Oh, Shazam, what a flick coming in. And that's going to save their bacon. And I don't know if they'll be able to recover now, but Zyro's in there with a surprising frag from the back with the CZ as he now creeps up the ramp to try to stop this defense from working out. Shazam, he can't get anything more. Now Zyro's got the AWP out, and he's not going to miss Oboe. And Ricky's been shut down as well. Despite a beautiful shot from Shazam, it looks like it's all for naught.
That was absolutely nutty. Finally, Vitality start to string some rounds together. 2 players survive. Lots of strong frags there for Vitality. They made it a really horrible position for compLexity, even around the time the bomb was planted. Zyro's angle, his teammate behind him with the AUG. Absolute carnage, and the scopes are coming out for the French. 4 AUGs and the AWP. If you've got the money, then buy it, and they certainly will. They've put compLexity in Eco Town, so very likely we see Vitality catching up now and tying the score. 4 Desert Eagles out. Shazam obviously saving for the bigger guns. But these Deegs could be very interesting. See if Oboe can pick up some more, as well as the rest of the team. Probably nice for Sick to have another younger player on the team.
Yeah, he's pretty wishing that he had the opportunity to play with a team like this when he was younger. I think Sick has had a slower trajectory than I think his skill should suggest. That's okay. He's still in the game, although not in this round at least. And there we go. Yeah, Sick actually coming up at the same timing as Twist. They were on the same team at one point. But it was Twist that got scooped up by Liquid, and
he's 20 now. Sick.
Wow. I think when we were first casting, it must have been like 17 or something.
I'm pretty sure he was 17, yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's weird to think about. Oh, what a shot. That's for the crazy flick. Boom. Amazing stuff. Alex, I thought it was guaranteed for 2 there, but still in that round, thanks to Saiwu, they managed to pick it up, and it's been pretty smooth since then. Got the timeout from compLexity. They have a good amount of rounds right now, but let's not forget, you know, they did pick up the pistol. And since that pistol, only 2 rounds have been claimed. So despite some of the messier rounds, Vitality have been showing some good adjustments. I've been enjoying the aggressions from Vitality too. all beautiful. The timing, 151. It's working out. They go for a fast push behind it.
Up close with the orb. There's one. There's another one. Big info with the bomb there as well. And here's the variance around the smoke, but it's not favouring complexity. Maybe they can still do something about it. Can they take ZywOo out? There's still flashbangs to come. He's looking on the floor, creating space, trying to delay these players, but the cavalry is getting taken out. ZywOo's still alive. That's a massive problem with the AWP. RPK from the back. Ricky gets whacked, and that is Vitality in the lead. Nice.
Yeah, that almost like a debate, you know, because they get the pick, and so, you know, it's a 4 rush into B. You're hoping that it was like a 2-3 setup at the start of the round, which Vitality have done a few times. But Vitality actually sent 3 towards, you know, mid and B there. So wasn't quite as weaker defense as was expected, I think, for complexity to have to deal with. And back to the pistols again. So I wonder if we'll see the catwalk to short plant setup, which is so common in rounds like this. They've got the Xbox smoke already, so they can somewhat freely make their way up towards the catwalk position. It's a position which you kind of want to hold. Oh, sorry, you don't want to hold close as the CTs. You want to play it like the retake setup that Vitality have here that's more consistent against the pistols, which would do pretty well at this range, trading in numbers. You got catwalk, now what?
Now what indeed? Alex sees one of the 5 players cross the doors, trying to figure out maybe what is going on. A Molotov answer, and he will stand between these. Got to be careful for a flashback. He's seen a lot of players rotating towards B. So complexity have kind of given a game away in that respect. And Vitality are expectant. They've got a pretty deep smoke. There is a flank taken care of. NBK holding his angle. Apex playing anti-flash. And I don't think there's a lot we can expect from complexity in this situation. Vitality just got too much info. They have range, better weapons. There are no grenades for complexity. NBK needs to hold an angle. Apex there for the cleanup as well. And with the information in mid, everything goes as it should.
Yeah, looking pretty smooth and expected. The results that we're seeing so far, and yeah, I think this is where it could get quite interesting, you know, if we're going to see a comeback from complexity in this half, obviously after these 5 rounds in a row from Vitality. It would be now. Shaz on the AWP looking for that timing. 151, not going to cash anything this time. But a fast long taken in from the complexity lads here. Sick running backwards as the flashes will be detonating in the sky. And it's going to work out, it seems, as he gets position. And Alex has no idea he's so far forward. Another one going into the hands of Obo, and all of a sudden, just like that, a 5 versus 3, complexity with big advantages. But ZywOo's still alive.
And that's a problem. The Molotov will force him back, but it won't force him out necessarily. Nobo will be eliminated. There's a smoke grenade from a teammate to create some space, and that might net a second kill, or maybe not. More of a Scream-ass grenade going backwards towards his own team. Ooh, has he got the flick? Does he see through the corner of the smoke? Just not in time. You just waited for the flick to come, but it was Shazam to deliver. Man advantage for complexity, but they're all in long. MBK looking through mid doors, moving towards the short position to help his teammate. Def has a smoke grenade, which he'll be lining up. So I think that goes to the bottom. Next to CT spawn. Yeah, there we go. Marvelous stuff. I keep forgetting that one. And a Molotov towards the top, but it's about trading. They go straight into the Orc. The Orc's so powerful in these kind of situations, and everything changes. 8 HP for Shazam to kill 2 players who are lined up for a double peek. This should be impossible. It pretty much is. And there's 8 rounds for Vitality.
Yep. Wasn't expecting such a strong hold there from Apex. I actually think that position is really annoying sometimes because you don't really expect someone to be stood up there by those like boost boxes, and even though it's a one and done spot insofar as if you try to reposition after killing someone from that spot, you're dropping off. You know, you're really exposed. You can't really reposition in a mid fight either. It kind of sucks, you know, on the face of it, but because no one expects that angle and it's a bit elevated and all that. It can actually often be very strong, converse as to what you might think. Either way, another round for Vitality, and complexity still scratching their heads as to what would be the best approach against Vitality's current defense. And I think one of the problems is Vitality keep mixing up small elements of their timings, their setups. So it's hard to know how to react, I think, to them.
6 rounds in a row for Vitality. Only 2 rounds remaining in this half. Early smoke up top. Molotov to deter a push. NBK with a cheeky push himself. Looking for a second one. But the UMP will prevail. Zai was there if needed, but he's not. So Apex will maybe have some more visualization of a potential push towards B. Or Def eating a grenade down to 25 HP and he sees nothing. No answer, no response. Nothing you can do really to that. All the players lower tunnel or towards B. It's Molotov to go off one of the doors. That'll force Zaiwu back, but 3 guys on Dust 2, or any map really on the T side. Pretty difficult to get something to work.
The movement in this round from Vitality has been amazing. They gave up long, they had a cat push, they had a push from doors into lower dark, they had Zaiwu there as well. They had so much pressure on all points of the map. They were just outmaneuvering compLexity, taking the initiative repeatedly, which is difficult to do on the CT side of Dusk, but they've managed to do it in this round pretty well. And now they just chill. They've got the 4 versus 3, they're just relaxing. Oh man, what a setup. How do you deal with this?
Well, by creeping towards the B bomb site, it seems. Is that enough for the bomb to come up on a radar? The flashbang from the teammate, but he can't quite get the fatal connection, and that will be the round shut down. They had one opportunity, it failed, and that is 9 rounds for Vitality. A rough spot for them. They did pretty well to create the opportunity in the first place, but it wasn't enough.
How many rounds would compLexity have if Vitality would have picked up the pistol? Obviously, they've only made 2 rounds work since then. And Scout comes out, Galil on Oboe. Not an ideal situation. It's been fun, seeing some of the moments here or there for Oboe. That's not bad. Shazam taking the head off of Zaiwu and the tag onto MPK as well. We keep getting the brazen challenges. Perhaps not, but it might not even be necessary, because here we go, opening onto the B-bomb site. They're going to go in as quickly as they can. MBK knows that time is of the essence, goes for a quick push through the smoke. Is there another one? They don't expect there to be another one. Oh, the bomb's been dropped towards long as well. What on earth? You don't expect to lose the bomb there after the quick opportunity was seen at B. RPK's taken one opportunity of his own.
Yeah, everyone's been deleted, and Shazam is left with a Scout. 1 versus 2. Fair chance he could pick up a better weapon, because this is not ideal. Plenty of time. I don't know if we can hear Alex. Oh, that is a very important headshot to make. Of course, he delivers. No idea where RPK is, though. He's got 2 kills. Maybe there's some rough information, but he's got to get that bomb. Moving away, looking for a rotation, but RPK is further back. But there may be a meeting of the minds. He's going to go the wrong way. Ding dong from RPK, and that is half-time. Vitality 10, compLexity 5. We'll see if compLexity can do more after this break.
Cuando yo te vi, sentí que eras para mí. Te quiero descubrir y yo no quiero compartir. Tus ojos brillan fuera de tu control. Cuando yo te vi, sentí que eras para mí hoy. Ay, 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 te voy a enseñar, te voy a silenciar fácil. Quédate un rato aquí, muévete así, así. Bailamos sin parar, bailamos sin parar. Quédate un rato aquí, muévete así, así. Bailamos sin parar, bailamos sin parar. El sol está saliendo, es domingo otra vez. Te digo que esta noche no será la última vez. Ay, 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 te voy a enseñar, te voy a silenciar fácil. Quédate un rato aquí, muévete así, así.
And we're back. Welcome to the show. We've got compLexity and you look compLexity with the debut performance of Obo. Looks pretty good, but what they are facing is quite difficult indeed. It is the 4th ranked team in the world. It is Vitality and Dust2. Well, they are certainly no strangers to it, and they had a fantastic first half, 10-5. Despite losing the pistol, they still have a dominant performance. And if that is to continue, compLexity don't have much more time spent on Dust2 here today, I think.
Yeah, this might be rough for them. Def is 3 for 13 as well. It might be, well, it's not might be, it definitely is early to be like, oh, is in-game leading having an impact on his own performance? It's one best of one, so I think there's no need for that kind of talk just yet. Shazam is quite famous for his pistol prowess in North America, considered one of the best pistol players in NA, and he does continue to show us why. And he's put his team in a good spot. Apex and ZywOo, the last players remaining. P2000 has been picked up, nothing doing for Apex. ZywOo with 12 HP, 1 versus 4, picks up the gun for range, drops it because he's taken out by Sick.
I like how he's like desperately trying to reach, so please. But no. A must-win pistol has been collected thanks to these efforts from Shazam. Good work, very calm. Kind of lined up for him pretty nicely there, and they needed that so desperately. They picked up the first pistol, they picked up the second pistol. They're going to need everything to go in their favor to take down Vitality. And Shazam, oh, he's got a beautiful spot here with this orb. Going to spot a bunch more players towards the catwalk position, towards middle. They're going to rush him down. Will they get him though? Nope, the lineup is pretty damn nice. And that's the round over with. Nice and quick.
It's not bad when you're the sniper for the team and almost everybody runs at you. Bonus money, which may come in handy later. That is a long string of C2 rounds between the two teams. But now is the first buy for both squads, and the only AWP is with ZywOo. 15 for 8. Lovely stat there from Pinnacle. I wondered if he was going to hit 2, but he definitely hit 1. So Riquet will start somewhat handicapped in this round. But it is a take-off long position, so that'll be a relief for him at least. Shazam taken out with 2 taps from Apex, just the one required of the AK-47. So how will you respond to this compLexity? Don't really have the ideal weaponry just yet, and Vitality are creeping up long.
There's no answer to this at all. Long-range spray, and compLexity have no eyes on long whatsoever. This round is a foregone conclusion. I think Apex, when he killed Shazam at Catwalk, we saw that compLexity kind of doubled down towards middle and B. So for whatever reason, they read that as perhaps more players towards the B side of the map, and they completely gave up the long position, and that's exactly where Vitality was. So this kind of made this round look a bit weird from that perspective. As you can see, like the fact that they got taken down, or they lost a player in mid from crossover with you know, seemingly unexpectedly, tells you a lot. Well, Vitality will be happy. They'll have an easy pickup of this first round on their T side.
Yeah.
You seem gobsmacked, James.
Yeah, it was just a little unusual there, but here we go. It'll be interesting to see what compLexity can do this week so early. But it's a good showing from Obo so far. Seen some nice frags from him. And now there is a test to be had. Sick has spent a fair chunk, 24.50. So it looks like the force buy maybe a while until we see an AWP bought by compLexity. But this is a pretty solid buy. They've got an AK-47 and 4 AUGs, so not too much to complain about. Now, with a tactical timeout in this situation, do Vitality expect some aggressive play from compLexity, maybe a boost of 2 plays on short or something like that, a play through B halls of a certain timing, a stronghold of long, and what will they do something funky in anticipation of that? Not long to find out.
Yeah, you know, we haven't really seen you know, ZywOo's opening on this T side just yet. It's so early, and already there it is. Big shot through the door there, doing massive damage to Sick. as another fast long take comes in from Vitality. Looks very successful. Uncontested. compLexity will fall back, which means that they will be occupying Catwalk, which is a pretty expected response.
It's compulsory.
And so, you know, it's often the case once you force the CTs to occupy Catwalk, you know, how do you deal with it then? You know, do you have a set piece where you put everyone through long and you shut down Catwalk with smokes from long? Or do you actually try to take that Catwalk position, try to frag out using utility, just attacking the Catwalk position with 3-4 players? That looks to be the option here. We'll see the first initial grenades exchanged. So it's really critical for compLexity to be able to hold on to these positions, or at least get lots of kills.
Ricky with one through the doors. What kind of ninja play was that from Alex? I don't understand the science behind that. Obo moving forward ahead of the flashbang. How many can he deliver? Just the one on this occasion. 3 versus 3, but the entire A site has been lost. Long and short in possession of Vitality. A quick flank attempted by Shazam. There is a smoke now. He's got a gamble. Does he want to go through this? Presence being shown. They'll spray. That gives the game away. RPK moving forward. Shazam gambling after all. Going through the corner of the smoke, and that leaves the plant for the platform for ZywOo. He's got an AWP. Can he make his way towards long, or will he hold his ground in this position? Trying to avoid flashbangs if he can. There is a very high one. Quick 180 from him, almost 2. And now it's just Sick alone, easily taken care of by ZywOo. 5-round lead for Vitality.
Yeah, such a strong post-plant spot for him. compLexity doing what they could, but it wasn't enough. And the problem is that Vitality, the round in which they showed us there, it was really simple and it's very replicable. You have this situation where you get a long take. So far, compLexity have not been challenging for that, and I can understand why. You know, if you go for the challenge, you're basically saying, okay, well, we live by this challenge and we die by this challenge, because either you get positive trades or you're in a even trade, which is still bad. You need to be in a positive trade. That's the only thing that's really going to work out for you. So a lot of teams don't like going for that gamble, but you may have to do that. Otherwise, Vitality can just go for a long take and get it for free all the time. And if they have that, now they've just shown that they have a strong attack for Catwalk to follow that up with. So that is a terrifying precedent. And so the test here for me is whether Vitality recognize this and just say, okay, well, long takes work for free. Let's just do that. And then attack Catwalk again. They can't hold us. So here is Apex going for the timing with the AWP. And there's nothing here. It is free once again.
Flashbang doesn't quite do the job, but the smoke does. Apex is not shy, however. Playing with the AWP, presumably based on spawn. Once they feel like it's safe to swap over, perhaps it will go to someone else. ZywOo making his way in. Flashbangs too. That's a nice flash, actually, to jump into the platform. Well, not the platform, the ramp position on long. And then start to look to see if anybody's lurking behind the boxes. Alex makes his way to the mid area. Cut off rotators, perhaps. They'll have to assume that the short position is compromised, as it should be. And it comes across from the other 4 Vitality players. Def doing a lot of damage through the smoke. That is colossal. That could be everything if compLexity can capitalize. There is the flank from Alex. The labored spray, a huge headshot to 180. Looking for more now. Oh my god.
That is nuts, isn't it? Alex has done so much damage on the flank, and that's so critical. And then once again, we're in the same situation. ZywOo are left alive with the AWP post-plant on the A-bomb site. And so, we get the jump up on top of the, I forget what those things are even called, but an elevated position above the smoke for MBK with the Krieg. Oh, this is just so difficult. Imagine being up against ZywOo in this kind of a spot. It's the leg there, trying to bait out the shot, but ZywOo will be forcing his way forward with the pistol, and that's all that's required. Great decision-making from him, and that is 14-7. And so, again, the rounds are sort of finishing in exactly the same ways. What a play from Alex. After such a labored spray in the first engagement as well, he manages to get 2 more after that. And the money is gone for compLexity. So here we go. They'll do what they can with the Deagles. Vitality know that they don't have anything to work with. Ooh, missed shot there from ZywOo. That's going to pay off, I think, here, because there's actually quite a few pistols left here for Never mind. Never mind. They're all gone. They've been eliminated. The B-bomb site's been taken by force, and Vitality looking to move to 15 rounds very, very soon here. And they're just outclassing complexity, James. There's not really much else to say.
Yep, and that's the way it should be. All things considered, stronger team, full team, new in-game leader, and so on. All the factors at play. It is all good. Def is 4 for 17, which is really weird. Again, it is short term, but I mean, this is a guy who I believe it was Def who Cloud9 wanted at some point in the past. He's very highly respected in North America, but he's been extremely loyal to the complexity brand, a brand which got him a P1 visa, which are proving more difficult to get these days. But in the short term, it seems that he is on the struggle bus.
Yeah, Dusty is a really hard map. If you're not able to, I mean, I think it's like anything. I think it was mentioned on the desk before. I think by Chad, just the fact that Counter-Strike is more than just having players with ability. It's about setting those players up and getting them into the game. I think a map that particularly emphasizes that is actually Train. Because T-side of Train, you can have incredible players, but if they just can't get into spots, you know, in through the relevant choke points, you're never going to see any of that class from them. So as a team, you've got to set these guys up with good utility, good movement, good spacing, good coordination, a good game plan. And that's difficult to assemble, but that's what Counter-Strike's about. With the right eye peek here for ZywOo, pretty favorable peek here for him, but okay, everyone's just taking grenades out, and all of a sudden, worst possible timing, Obo swings in with a triple. Now down to Alex in a 1 versus 4. And Obo's, he's had enough. He has had enough.
That is beautiful timing for complexity. Vitality turning around to line up grenades and getting shot in the arse. But there's a lot more to do for complexity. Outside of the pistol, that's more or less the only round they've won in this half so far. So much to do. Not looking too likely, but you never know. We've seen comebacks from worse. 2 AWPs for complexity, Ricky and Shazam. And maybe the CT side will be where Def finds himself some frags. So Ricky's in a good position. If he gets flashed, he will be able to make it towards the B doors. And there is the flash. There is the shot. He actually has his teammate for help as well, so he won't even be forced away too much. Just have to use the flashbangs to re-aggress and take the angle once again. Meanwhile, there's more harassment towards shorts.
Yeah, so you can see some good work here from Vitality, some good pressure in mid, pressure on Catwalk, a lurk smoke on upper dark. This, like right now, what Vitality have shown can mean absolutely anything. But from what we can see, obviously, we see that the burst through that lurk smoke is a possibility, which we haven't seen just yet. A smoke is popped up again. Ricket's just taking pot shots through this smoke, and eventually he's going to have to reposition. There's a Molotov there as well. And Vitality, they left Alex on Catwalk, so that does keep that option open. Obviously, you know, he can lurk it, or it can be this case where it's like, all right, that play towards B did not really work out. Let's shift things up. We still have map control towards Catwalk. Let's use that and attack Shazam.
Lining up the grenades once again. There is the setup grenade. Allows the deeper Molotovs towards the ramp where Shazam is standing. Flashbangs as well, so he's been compromised in all the positions he wants to play, but he'll still get a frag onto RPK. 5 versus 3 for complexity. He'll want to keep the losses low, and so far it's perfect. It will remain that way. They take 0 points of damage in that entire round. The bomb is planted, but at this point it won't be a factor. It's all about winning, well, every single round for complexity. So that's fine.
Yeah, I think, you know, one surefire thing that Vitality can count on is the long takes. I mean, it's obviously something that is just generally a pretty favorable way to open up rounds, but it has been very consistently working for them in spots where, and there's a lot of spots where complexity just decide that they just give it up. And Vitality have proven that should complexity decide not to fight for long, that Vitality always end up on the upper hands when the round is followed up on. And Zyro's consistently getting those shots through the doors, which is always nice. You can see his teammates, if he'd made a frag there, would have been ready to burst in towards B, but instead now Xbox smoke will likely come in and they can cross over to Catwalk. Oh no, Xbox smoke. In fact, they're going for a split here. Very fast B split is on the cards, potentially. At least the threat is there.
Yeah, but Def seems to be expecting something. He's in the Matrix, boosted up already. Ooh, finally getting the kill. That's the bomb, so that's pretty much confirmation. Don't need much more information than that. Tried to throw a Molotov, and maybe that was asking too much, trying to throw it on the bomb, of course. But that did cost him. And now Ricky is exposed, and this could be the end of the line for compLexity. 2 versus 4, Obo and Shazam. We will need an exceptional performance from them, especially with only flashbangs, no mollies or anything like that to compromise the positions of the players on the site. This is a very tall order, and they fear a flank through the doors as well. A few shots to ask a question. Who goes where? AWP, only good for the 1 kill, really, and then Obo's got so much to do, but he's blind. Shazam taken out, and it's the Obo, the new man, the last man to fall. And there it is, 16-9, a ultimately comfortable win for Vitality.
Yeah, it really was. You know, despite losing the first 3 rounds and things looking a little bit laboured here in the first half, they finished it with a 10-5 scoreline. Only 2 rounds that we see going the way of compLexity after their initial 3 from the pistol, which is not really good enough. And it's unfortunate, you know, Vitality, 4th best team in the world in the HLTV rankings. They earned that spot. They have been consistently improving themselves month after month, and they're a really tough team to beat at this point. They've got the talent, they've got good structure, they've really found their footing with this lineup. And so coming in with a new IGL, a new player with no experience, that's a lot to ask for. But I feel like we saw some good stuff from Obo there individually. So he's definitely got a lot of talent. We know that of course. As you mentioned, his FPL journey has shown that.
Yeah, he looked pretty happy down there as well. I think he's just enjoying the experience. This is a team who are not going to be coming into this tournament with any pressure with those recent changes, but I think he looks... I think the important thing to take away for me, for compLexity, as far as Obo is concerned, is that he looks calm. He doesn't look at all nervous in the plays. You saw the deagle play. I think that was quite telling as well. I mean, it's a different story if they end up on LAN and they have like thousands of people in front of them, and that's completely different, and that can be intimidating. And there are different scales of that as well, but I'm sure that is all to come. But that looks fine. In terms of Def, maybe a little bit different, but it's down to a winner interview now with Smix.
Thank you very much, James. Congratulations, NBK. You guys take down compLexity 16-9 on Dust 2. It seemed like a really, really solid effort from you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main point is that we cannot win pistol rounds anymore, which is pretty painful, especially for later stages. But no, yeah, we won it pretty convincingly, I think.
Yeah, just like you said, despite that, it was such a convincing scoreline. And going up against a team like compLexity, who recently has made so many different types of changes, did that make it a little bit harder to prepare against them? Did that make you just focus on your own game?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, they openly said that they had only a week of practice, so we played some of one of our strong maps, and so that's pretty much what we were focusing on. We knew that they were going to play pretty packed and simple, like they were going to come in with one game plan. And then we saw that they were really focusing on long. So we just started to defend that, and then long and B pretty much, and then that was pretty much it, because again they don't have that much practice together with Def in-game leading, and so yeah, that was the only things we needed to do on CT, and then just grinding rounds on T side.
And I know this past month has been a huge resurgence for you guys, taking that recent top 4 finish at the HLTV rankings. And then this, the past several months leading up to that, it's been a long journey. So personally speaking for yourself, what do you feel are sort of the efforts that really resulted in all of these improvements? Rediscovering sort of ourselves, like relearning how to get there again, and accepting changes, in a sense that a lot of people are stuck in their old ways and don't really want to evolve and get into the new stuff. And for us, it doesn't really matter. We're just learning every day, and we plan to continue that. Whether it is roles in the team, personalities adapting to one another, all that kind of stuff. And so that's the main point. As long as we can adapt and grow in our own way with our game style and what we want to make, I'm pretty confident we can keep that level going, yeah. For sure, and I know that in the past, whenever there was this type of French shuffle, Alex wasn't a name that was really brought up that much, but now he's the IGL. And speaking as someone who's worked under so many different IGLs, and you've been an IGL yourself before, how would you say working with him has been?
It's been good. Again, we're taking his ideas that are not necessarily the ones against the old gang in France, and so again, we're happy to adapt to that. And when I passed him part of the leadership of the team, it's without condition in the sense that he does it, and then we follow his ideas, we do what he says, and that's why it's working. Although we're again like splitting and trying something new in Counter-Strike. Because we have that, that's why it's working. If we would have egos or problems in that sense, it would not work as good. But yeah, I think he has great ideas. It's getting harder to read us on our T halves and CT halves, and so it allows us to be 100% on each CT and T side, and that's why I really like that change. Yeah.
Well, it's certainly been an absolute pleasure seeing your team's evolution, and you're looking good so far. And if you want to continue, then it's going to be North or MIBR. North, you just recently played so many times at Dallas, and MIBR are just coming off of taking a lot of time practicing themselves. So how would you measure those two teams?
I mean, with North, we obviously have a pretty funny matchup. I mean, we like to lose them when games don't really matter that much in the tournament, and then we beat them when it matters. But I mean, they're going to be a prepared team, and they're going to change and adapt things. And MIBR are always eager to play those guys. I mean, they're very good. They're still legendary in Counter-Strike, and I don't know. I'd like to play MIBR. They're good friends of mine, and so we'd love to play them. And again, if we lose North tonight, it doesn't really matter. We're going to beat them the day after, so that's all right.
We'll see if that's indeed the case, but for now, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And guys, we are going to be right back, but when we come back, it's going to be North taking on MIBR.
Cuando yo te vi, sentí que eras para mí. Te quiero descubrir y yo no quiero compartir. Tus ojos brillan fuera de tu control. Cuando yo te vi, sentí que eras para mí hoy. Ay, 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 te voy a enseñar, te voy a silenciar fácil. Quédate un rato aquí, muévete así, así. Bailamos sin parar, bailamos sin parar. Quédate un rato aquí, muévete así, así.
Welcome back to the ECS Season 7 Finals, where before the break, we saw Vitality kick things off with a win and start their road to the upper bracket finals later today. I'm safe to say there was no surprises really there. We all kind of expected, yeah.
We got one on the board.
Yeah, I was about to say, you both got there.
33%, yes.
There we go.
It's only going up from here, Chad.
Yeah, well, someone tweeted at me saying we'd keep the 0% streak alive, but when the game started, and that person is wrong. So I'm happy about beating someone on the internet. That's the most important thing.
Yeah,
well, that's someone
a good
like hired by compLexity or something?
Probably. They tag compLexity into it. So.
Oh, there you go.
Well, yeah, no surprises there from Vitality, really. It was safe to say. I mean, compLexity, we saw Obo and Shazam kind of coming out there.
Yeah.
They were looking pretty solid.
Well, normally you could paint the picture, right? If I came onto the analyst desk and I said, yeah, you know, it was a great game. They won both pistols. They won this sick Deagle swing round. They were looking good. You'd think it was the winning team. But no, it was the other way around, right? compLexity won both pistols here. They converted in the first half against the Force Spies. They won the second half pistol. They did have that Deagle round by Obo. They only won 3 gun rounds in the entirety of this game. So the rest of them were either pistol rounds or games against low buys. Now, we know low buys are not easy rounds to win. Against a force buy, it can be quite difficult, so they did a good job of converting there. But all in all, it wasn't a fantastic showing for compLexity, but all things considered, a decent showing, which is, it feels like I'm saying two things which are completely opposite.
Yeah, I was about to say, it caught me a bit off guard by the decent showing. I think, for Shazam and Obo, you can probably say that it was an alright showing for them in terms of just showcasing individual skill. I think for the rest of them, you have to be a little bit concerned about, again, Death going through a bit of a role change. He needs to figure out how to lead a team while also trying to frag. He was not able to do so on Dust 2, but I think more so players like Sick, right? Like he's meant to be one of the backbones on that team to actually frag out, and he doesn't necessarily have an excuse. Obviously, as a team, they haven't been able to prepare, you know, and in the case of Ricky not having a visa, that obviously makes your situation a bit more difficult, but there's no reason for Sick to necessarily have that much of a dip when it just comes to being able to showcase your individual. So that has me a bit worried for compLexity as a whole. But again, it's first tournament, first day and all that, so they still have room to improve, but I wasn't necessarily too blown away by what would happen.
Well, exactly. I mean, we said there was a massive asterisk coming into compLexity from this. And of course, we got to see some of their highlights courtesy of NVIDIA there. And of course, that asterisk has to be what we said about Ricker, what we said about Obo having his first LAN showing, which actually, interesting enough, I thought I'd go and have a little peek at them playing behind the scenes in our Heats area. He was getting pretty pumped.
Yeah?
I was really into it. He was loving life. I mean, that was the first 3 rounds I was watching where they were winning, but he was looking good.
To be fair, he was the only compLexity member, I think, who was smiling at the end of the game there. But to be fair, like, it's a pretty big thing for him. Not only is it first LAN match, first big international event, but also getting to play versus people he probably idolized, trying to get good
as well.
Exactly, like shaking hands with MBK and Apex and those guys. It's a pretty big deal for someone who's like trying to prove themselves.
It's difficult here to look at too many things for Vitality, considering how well they've done recently, right? In a game like this, we said that they should be winning it, and they won it with relative ease. I think some things to maybe note on the compLexity side of things is that Ricky was doing the secondary AWPing duties, which was taken away from him for some time. So it's good to see him back on that. I think he's a good AWPer, definitely good being able to be a flex pick onto that. All in all, I guess in that interview with MBK there, he wants to play North.
Well,
or Vitality. Sorry, or MIBR.
Yes.
He said he's like, I want to play against North. If we lose to them today, we'll beat them tomorrow. Well, I don't think that's how the format works, but either way. He might get to play the Danes again, which they lost to at Dallas, for those people who need the context of that situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, exactly.
And to kind of go a little bit further with compLexity, some things that they did well but weren't able to capitalize off on was actually getting opening kills. They got a lot of them in this game, just way more than Vitality. Again, but then it comes down to the structure of the team, how you're able to, again, work together to actually make it count. And they haven't gotten to that step quite yet. But again, at least you have the firepower, at least, or some of the memes to actually to get started. So, that's a positive at least.
Well, we've been speaking about Obo. He didn't win the match, but he did win our X Factor of the match, brought to you by HyperX. This is a little Deagle clip from him, as we were saying about all the pistol rounds. We're going to see this one playing out in round 7.
It really just came out of nowhere as well, didn't it? Again, slow entrance in towards the middle area, and then it's the third shot that really just seals the deal there onto MBK. and grabs compLexity 5th round.
Yeah, so he had impact in quite a few rounds, right? He had 4 kills on that pistol round. Well, something that I noted that I didn't mention before was they need to work on their crossover smokes because they missed it twice within the first 4 rounds of the game.
You were early to notice that on Twitter.
Well, I saw it on pistol. I was like, maybe they're a little bit flustered. And then I saw it on the anti-ec, and I was like, well, they definitely weren't flustered on that round. So I don't understand. That's just a small thing. That's just a little teething issue. Something that someone thinks they've got the smoke right. They'll just fix it. That's a problem that they can sort out very quickly. But they're just going to be a very quick learning curve for them. They're going to, I think, actually, and this sounds a bit bad, but the best thing for them here is to get to practice in Europe. Right, they're going to get a good opportunity to play some games from Europe, so that's probably the best opportunity for compLexity, and get Obo acclimatized to LAN.
Well, exactly. I mean, you guys stated the importance of being comfortable at doing that, right? As we can see by the bracket here, Vitality are going to be heading into our best of 3 later today, and then compLexity are heading into the lower bracket, and they won't be playing until tomorrow when they really will be fighting for their tournament life. They'll either be heading up against MIBR or North, as you can see of that, which is the next match we're going to be getting into. But before we do that, we've got to go to a short commercial break. But when we are back, we are heading into our final best of 1 of the day as we see MIBR take on North. Don't go anywhere.